Okay guys, here we are with the second part of the second law lab. This time, instead of changing the amount of force that we're applying to the system, instead we're going to change the amount of mass in the system. So our starting point right now, the first data point that you would want to record is the total mass of the cart with the one mass hanging on the string. And the cart has a mass of 254.15. 254.15. And the mass on the end adds an extra 100. That gives us a total mass of 354.15. 354.15 is our first mass. I'll go ahead and get the cart pulled back, and I'll get the velocities for you for our first one. Remember, that's 354.15. All right, that was our lowest mass. That was 354.15, and here's our initial velocity. And there is our final velocity. All right, let's reset. From this point forward, we're going to add 200 grams each time. So if you'd like to fill in the rest of the data table, or if you haven't already filled it in, you can go ahead and fill it in by adding 200 grams to each of the successive masses. So our next mass is going to be 554.15. Okay, everything is ready to go. I'm going to add one 200 gram mass. So now we're at a total of 554.15. All right, this is 554.15 total mass. There's our initial velocity. And here's our final velocity. All right, on to the next mass. We're going to add 200 grams more. Adding one more 200 gram mass. So this will now take us to a total mass of 754.15. This is 754.15 total mass. Here's our initial velocity. And there is our final velocity. All right, on to the next mass. Okay, let me just double check my math. We have 600 total on here, plus this is 254. So 600 and 254 is 854, plus 100 on there. We're now at 954.15. 954.15. Okay, so this is 954.15, I'm sorry, 954.15. Here's our initial velocity. There is our final velocity. All right, let's move up to 1154. Let me just double check and make sure I've got the masses right. I have 500 and 200 is 700, plus another 100 here is 800, plus the mass hanging off of the thread is 900, plus the mass of the cart 1154.15. 1154.15. 1154.15 is the total mass now. I'm sure you've noticed that the velocities are getting slower because, of course, the mass is much larger. So starting to see a smaller acceleration. So this is 1154.15 total mass. Here's our initial velocity. Here is our final velocity. All right, we are now up to 1354. 1354 total mass. 500, 9,000, 1,100, plus this guy is 1,300. 1354.15. So this is 1354.15 initial velocity and the final velocity. All right, we'll add 200 more. Let me just double check the math. 5 plus 6 is 11, 12, 13, plus the cart is 15, 1554.15 grams. All right, the velocities are starting to get really slow. This is 1554.15. Here's your initial velocity. And there is your final velocity. All right, let's do 2 more. That was 15. Let's go for 17. Okay, so now I have 1,000. This is going to be 1254, 1354, 1554, 1754. Let me just double check my math, make sure I've got this right. So 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, 15, 1,600, plus the 7 over there. So the extra 100 there makes it 1754, 1754.15. $1754.15 total mass. Here's your initial velocity. Here is your final velocity. All right, last one. This is going to take us almost to 2,000, not quite. Let me just double check, make sure I've got this right. 600 plus 1,000 is 1,600, 1854. Plus the guy down there, 1954.15 total mass. All right, guys, this will bring us to the end. 1954.15 total mass. Here's your initial velocity. There is your final velocity. All right, guys, that's the final measurements. Up for you to make your data table and graphs and see if it shows what Newton said was true about acceleration.